Okay, next line. 2 times? Okay, wonderful, very nice. If you notice that it has come 2 times. Frequency is important. How many times a word appeared in other words or in the same way? Very important, very good point. Nice. Next. Next line. Okay, pass. Next line. So, did you scan the passage and saw places where this word thoughtless was found? Did you do that? Great. So this is called as spotting the keyword. When the passages are long and then there are multiple questions, you quickly notice what is the highlight, where is the keyword, and then you go back to the passage again quickly. First you give the passage a quick reading, this is your choice. Then you go to the question statements. If you do not read the passage very quickly, and next step which is going to the questions, instead of doing this, following this, which is quickly reading the passage for scanning the main ideas and then going to the questions, you might miss out on the vocabulary. You might forget the vocabulary unless you mark that word in your question and then go back to the passage. Apply S&S. When I say S&S, it is skimming and scanning. Write down. Keywords. And the nature of words. Thought groups. And, okay, now I'm going to leave you at this for 30 seconds, and I will after 30 seconds ask you as to why I have highlighted some words in green, some in blue, and some phrases are highlighted. Why are these phrases highlighted? Yes, we get to understand tone of the author when we look at these. And I want you to sort of take a picture of the screen right now so that you can refer to it going back afterwards to the same part of the session. Beyond occasionally exposing me to laughter is exception. So one negative exception to what I'm going to talk about in a positive way is sometimes people make a mockery out of my shyness or this part of my personality, is that they make jokes on it. So that's an exception. So I have highlighted that in gray as a reader. My constitutional shyness, 2 words together, and I told you that constitution here connotates personality and not constitution. So keeping that in mind, the first line, the main point in blue, constitutional shyness. So there should be a map in your head that it started with an exception, which is negative, then talked about the focus idea in blue, and further has been in your head, subconsciously you registered this is present tense and is present perfect tense, has been of no disadvantage, which is for some time it has caused him no disadvantage. So no disadvantage is also a degree which is the author is focusing on advantage. No disadvantage, look, negative, 2 negative words together. In fact, I'm going to support this point and say, instead of saying no loss, I have been benefited, there has been a gain. On the contrary, so in my head, there's a point that says contrary in red color. It's been all to my advantage. Here I get the opposite, advantage. My hesitancy in speech, it is again a word, another word group for constitutional shyness. These are our thought groups. Which was once an annoyance, present past tense. Annoyance, adjective, qualifier, is now a pleasure. Opposite has happened, so I have highlighted pleasure here. Its greatest adjective, superlative degree, important to highlight in my head. Where are the adjectives? Where are these quality words? Has been that it has been it has taught me the economy of words. Outcome of my shyness, hesitancy in speech has been this. The points being repeated. or supporting points, as they are just the supporting points and just a part of key idea. So we can just read them quickly and keep them in our mind, or also mind mapping, which is in our mind map. We can say, all right, I'll get back to it in case the question wants me to get back to it. But for now, I'm going to just focus my vision, my sight, and my mind on the points that I've highlighted in fundamental truth, thoughtless speech. These are my thought groups. And all this happens at a really fast pace, at a subconscious level, after you have practiced how to look at reading passages a lot of times. It's just a choice of word, which is a vocabulary trap here. Because as part of the passage's vocabulary, you see this point, but the vocabulary is trapping you by not letting you think that there could be other aspects to a person's hesitation in speech. Hesitancy in speech could be both negative and positive. And because there are two aspects here, so this is the answer. How hard was it to digest? Second. Oh, you feel that last option is the answer? Oh, great, great. I'm happy. This is from an excerpt from autobiography of Mahatma Gandhi, My Experiments with Truth, when this question was asked. This is the answer. And because we have brainstorming session here, so it becomes important that we just quickly look at how we can come at it. It talks about action. The most appropriate reason, he doesn't do this to avoid this. He's a man of immense patience. It's his nature. He believes that he's a spiritual person, could be part of his nature, votary of truth, part of his nature. Supporting point, supporting point, supporting point. So they became one thought group. Here we had similar options. Only one stood out because it talked about what he does, because of which he is saved from a lot of mishappenings. You can find those options which are similar and one option which is slightly different. Probably that is going to give you an answer. That could be another tip. Cool. Now let's look at the third question. I got one answer here from you, and I got another answer from one of the other persons here. Now you know the answer, right? For question number 3, is the second option answer or the final option? The last option. You can always tell me second option or last option because the sound fourth. So I heard somebody said second. Silence is important in order to overcome his hesitation in speech. We have just talked about vocab trap. Tendency to overstate. Now I have given a clue. You can map it. You go back to the passage. You will find surmount, the word surmount somewhere. Yeah. Have you located the word surmount? There we go. And the word surmount in the passage, in this long passage, proneness to exaggerate. Exaggerate, make something big. Say too much about something. To curb or modify, manipulate truth, wittingly or unwittingly, and a man of few words. So immediately after some amount, you see a man of few words, and immediately before in the same line, you see proneness to exaggerate. This will give you a better answer because it is located in the same location as is the keyword from the question. So that can also be noted down when you're confused between two options and there is one option which is closer to the location of the keyword found in the question, then that might be my clue and I can choose that as my answer if I am in doubt. Overstate. Overstate is exaggerate, proneness to exaggerate. In other words, if we were familiar with these words like proneness, tendency, in other words, exaggerate, in other words, overstate. So synonyms can give us the clue. And here again, if I think about surmounting my hesitancy in speech has two connotations. Why do I hesitate? Am I afraid of people, that they will make fun of me? Or do I hesitate because I don't want to give out a thoughtless words? It has both the connotations. Because it has both the connotation, it is diabolical, or it is it has two meanings. And I want to be more sure. So how can I be more sure? I look at option number D and I go back to the location and I see, proneness, in other words, tendency. Exaggerate, in other words, overstate. So thus I reach to an answer, and that is the answer. So it takes vocabulary, it takes some practice, but we should always believe in working on our weaknesses. Say, if vocabulary is a weak point, then as an aspirant, I should make notes from newspapers. Every day I should write words, or I should have a whiteboard at my home where I write down words that I have noticed in the newspaper. You can just read your newspaper and quickly write down a word somewhere, or I can have a notepad on my table. When I study, I read a new word, I just write it down, I come back to it, Google it later if I don't want to waste my time because I'm focusing on something. Let's say I'm reading environmental studies, a book on that, so I'm just parking words somewhere so that I can go back to it. So as an aspirant, it will be important for you to have communication skills. Whether we like it or not, but we have to accept it, that English is a global language. I totally empathize how it feels to not know it the way native speakers or native writers know it, but it is what it is and we have to accept the reality. So we have to be objective about our preparation.